Welcome back to the YouTube channel and welcome to the Lifetime Physique podcast, depending on whether you're watching on the YouTube or on the podcast. Now, today's video is a long one, but it's a really important one because my mission is to give you as much value as possible, every lesson that I've learned related to mindset, nutrition, training, and recovery to be able to get you where you want to be in life, from average to elite. The complete guide to transforming your body and your mind. And this to me is like your model to the highest performing version of you, both inside the gym, outside the gym, your whole life. Okay. So what's the purpose of this video in this episode? The purpose for me is it's more than just delivering specifics around training or just giving you a little bit of insight and a little bit of information. We don't really need more information. There's so much information out there, a hell of a lot. It's not the information that's a problem, it's a lack of implementation of that knowledge. And what I want to do is equip you with knowledge, but also allow you to understand how you can actually apply that knowledge so that you can implement it and get results as a byproduct. Throughout the series of this video and this podcast episode, I'll be giving a lot of free stuff away. So make sure that you check out till the end because there is going to be a lot of different things that I'm giving to you guys for absolutely free related to training. That's programs, nutrition programs, like one-to-one calls. There's going to be a lot offered. So just make sure that you stay to the end and make sure that you head to my Instagram, Jacob Smith Coach. Okay, let's dive in. So here's the agenda. And you know what? Sack off this agenda. I'm not even going to talk you through it because there's so much going on. I want to dive straight in and just give you as much insight as possible. So who am I, first of all? This is me, the chubby guy on the left. I used to be overweight. I was an anxious kid growing up. I felt a bit of a failure. I left my apprenticeship. I didn't leave. I got told to leave. I dropped out of 2 colleges. I was working like minimum wage job. I was on £4.15 an hour, and I just didn't feel like I was getting anywhere at all. My anxiety got really bad. I put on a lot of weight, and I just didn't have any confidence in myself. Didn't like the way I looked, and something had to change. Like my family were worried about me. And it took a lot, but I knew always that I had something more in me, and I knew that I could make a change. I just didn't know how to go about it. Long story short, hired a coach, transformed my life, and in the process, I've invested over 20,000 of my own pounds into coaching. That's mentorship, and that's allowed me to completely change the trajectory of my life. Now I run a successful coaching business. I've transformed 100 plus men's health and fitness. Loads of transformations on the page. Have a look through. I compete in events. This is my full-time thing. This is my passion, my mission. I'll explain to you at the end as well. And I'm working 60 hours per week, and I absolutely love what I do. So I'm busy, okay? But I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. And if you're a client, you'll already understand that. But if you're not a client, I'm hoping you'll see that by the end. So, and this is where I'm at now. So I'm in a lot better shape than this guy here with his man boobs. Okay, but here's the problem. I've made mistakes too. And I don't want you guys to make mistakes. A lot of people, like I said, they see the knowledge online, they try and do it themselves, but they make mistakes. And unfortunately, there's a cost of inaction, and I will be talking you through that. The cost of inaction is making the mistakes and being in the same place 6, 12 months from now, having the same struggles, making no progress. And that's massively important that you don't do that because we have 6 cups to fulfillment. And if you want to live a fulfilled life, it's massively important that we continue progressing. And I will talk you through that across this episode. So this was me. I was overweight. This was me. I lost about 30 odd kilo. I ended up being like just skinny. Here's me now. I'm like an athletic build. I'm not a bodybuilder, far from it. But I run a lot. I compete in boxing. I compete in running. I like doing Hyroxes and I like lifting weights. And for me, it's more about building the mind as well. Okay. But the point of this is that there's a cost of inaction and there's a cost of making mistakes. So 2 images before we dive into the actual value. These images mean so much to me. If you're on the podcast, you won't be able to see it, but you can just check it out on the YouTube video. I'll describe it. One's me on a stage. You can see a fat version of me in the background, and you can see me proud, smiling on a stage, talking to 70 plus fitness business owners and talking about my story and where I've came from and the success that I've had and how I managed to do it. Then you can see me leading from the front. I'm coaching my client at a photo shoot, my first ever client photo shoot, and I'm leading from the front. Now, why are these images so important? The one on the left of me standing on the stage is so important because I was once a person that I remember I had long lessons at school, and if it was an English day and I had to read a book, I'd skip school. I'm not turning up. I don't want to be centre of attention. I hated having to be centre of attention. It was the worst thing for me ever. But I understood through my own self-development that it was necessary for growth to where I wanted to take my life. The one on the right is me leading. Again, something that I always avoided. I wanted to be, but I didn't want to be centre of attention. I tried to stay out the back of things, and that's why this is so important to me. I'm leading from the front. I'm confident, and I'm helping people. Okay, now what you're here for. Let's dive in. The first thing I want to talk you through is Mindset 101. Here are the biggest lessons that I've learned that I want to teach you that have managed to transform my life, massively impact my clients, and again, massively impact you. Now, some of this can be a bit to take your head around. So by all means, pause the recording if you need to, take some notes, but I can assure you now that when you implement what I teach here, your mind and what you believe, typically we act in alignment with our thoughts, okay? So it's so important that we get this right. So Mindset 101. The mindset you need to transform your body. And I should have put your life as well, because this isn't just impacting me and my body. This is impacting everything on a day-to-day basis, my quality of life, literally everything. So the first thing I want to talk you through, the first mindset shift is the all or nothing mindset, and it has to change. And let me tell you why. If you've ever done this where you've had one chocolate bar and then you've thought, okay, well, I've had one chocolate bar, I've ate unhealthy, now I don't feel great, I'm going to have two, I'm going to have three, I'll eat the whole packet. Or maybe you miss the gym, so you feel like a failure and you just skip the gym completely. I speak to so many people that, because they're quite high performers, the people I talk to, and people want to do well in life, they want to give something either 100% or they're not bothered. You're either all in on a competition or all in with a business, all in with your training, or you're not, okay? You either do one or the other. And here's the problem. If you continue to have that mindset and you continue to act in that way, you're not going to be able to achieve the results that you want with your health and fitness, because you're not going to get results being 100% for 3 months and being 0% for 3 months. You're going to be better trying to find a 75, 80% balance throughout the whole year, because we get results over extended periods of time, not what we do on a week-to-week basis. So here's the fix. I need you to focus on adopting new standards. I want you to think, what would the fit version of you do? Imagine you've got you over here, the fit version of you, the lean, the confident, the strong, the role model for maybe your kids or your future kids, the role model for your partner, the person that you're proud to be and you want to be. To become that person, they're going to have higher standards than what you currently have. Start making decisions now as if you were already that person. Start thinking when you come to a decision, okay, what decision would the healthy version of you make? Because that's going to be really, really important. The difference between someone out of shape and someone in shape is the person in shape has higher standards. They will make sure that they're not someone who's going to lose the inputs that are needed to keep them in shape. They're not going to stop going to the gym. They're not going to start eating crap all the time, because they have higher standards. And they literally, like, say someone like myself or someone else who keeps themselves in shape, I'm never going to be someone who's out of shape. I've been there, done that, never again. I understand that, why I don't want to do that, right? So you need to have new standards. Whether it's Christmas, we're going to, time we're recording is November. So if you're watching this maybe November, December time, when we have festive periods and we have this all around the year, I want you to understand that, because people will tell me now is not the best time to get in shape. There is never a best time, but there'll be people that will stay in shape over this period. There will be people, like, I want you to think now, what would the people in shape do? Like, I'm still going to eat a bit more. I probably won't drink. I don't really drink, but some people will drink or eat more. Most people will do that, but they will still have the high standards of, I'm still going to exercise. I'm still going to move my body. I'm still going to make sure that I get up early and I get my sessions in, right? They've just got these standards that someone else who's out of shape won't have. So start changing your standards. When you change your standards and your standards are high, you get high outcomes. When your standards are low and you act in alignment with that, the quality of results you get is poor. Okay, the next thing I want to talk you through is the identity loop. Now, this one's one to get your head around, but one that will completely change your thought process. So, self-identity, self-perception. Self-identity refers to a person's understanding and perception of who they are. Now, this can be for a variety of reasons. Like I put here, what actually causes us to identify a certain way? Because we all do. I've wrote a list here, and I'm going to read it out. What you've achieved in life so far, because you believe what you've managed to achieve. Like, if you have enough evidence of you can achieve something or you can specifically do something, you start to believe yourself because you've got undeniable proof that you can do it, right? What other people have told you? Maybe you were like me. Maybe people said nasty comments and it sort of got to you and you started to think you were someone that they told you were. And maybe that's wrong. But maybe other people have told you things and you started to identify as that person, right? Past achievements or lack of achievement. So maybe you're someone who's underachieved at school, maybe you just didn't put the effort in, or college or university, and people have called you thick or you're not intelligent, and you've just adopted that, oh, I'm just someone who's not very clever or very switched on. Also, internal dialogue, what you tell yourself, how you speak to yourself. You should speak to yourself kindly, but so many people don't. And this can massively impact how you perceive yourself as well. Labels and roles that you've adopted. You know, when people say, oh yeah, like that Jacob, he's lazy, you start to think that you're lazy, or you start to perceive that, oh, I must just be the lazy one, and you just adopt that identity and that mentality, and you act in alignment with who you think you are, so you start acting in that way. Social media and comparison. Society, what society says is normal, right? Family, upbringing, what your past is like, habits, and daily behaviors. All of these can impact how we perceive ourselves. Now, this is why self-identity matters not only in fitness but in your whole life. It's because we act in alignment with who we think we are. So, and I'm going to talk you through the loop in a second, but if you perceive yourself as someone who's undisciplined, someone who's lazy, someone who, when it comes to the morning, the alarm goes off, they snooze it and they can't be bothered because they're not a morning person. They hate the mornings, right? What do? They act in alignment with that. When the morning alarm goes off, they go, right, okay, I'm turning it off. I'm going to decide to go back to bed. I'm going to miss the gym session. And then you reinforce that belief. So here's the identity loop. Write this down. You've got a belief, right? And then you've got an action. That action then provides evidence on that belief. And then what happens is you bring this all together and you reinforce that identity, okay? Because this loop backs to the belief. So you have a belief. Let's say I believe that I'm someone who can't lose fat. I just can't lose it for the life of me, right? Or maybe this is you. You can't lose fat because you've told yourself that. The actions are you've been healthy for a couple of days or whatever you've obviously that's very subjective, but you've said you've been healthy. You've tried a few different actions. Maybe you've tried eating a little bit better. You've maybe gone for a walk. And then the evidence here is that you've gone on the scales and you haven't lost weight after 1 day or 2 days. And then you tell yourself, right, well, I just can't lose weight. It's just not me. Like I'm just big bones and I'm not meant to be lean. You reinforce that identity that you're someone who believes that they aren't someone who can lose weight, and you just continue. Let me give you another example. You're not disciplined. You tell yourself that, I'm just not disciplined. I just have no willpower. I hear it all the time. You skip one workout, which can happen. Like I have 10 sessions I do in a week. I don't always get them done, not every single week, right? Life gets in the way, things happen. But the action there is that you've skipped a workout. Then you tell yourself, I can't stick to it. See, I've missed a workout. I just can't always do it. I don't have that discipline. I don't have willpower. And then you reinforce the identity that you're someone who doesn't have discipline and you lack willpower. Okay. And here's how to shift your identity, because if you act in alignment with who you think you are and you perceive yourself in a negative way, be honest, you're holding yourself back. Like I'm looking at you, I'm speaking to you now. If that's how you feel every day and you don't speak or think about yourself in a positive way, you're not going to act in the way that you need to achieve positive outcomes. So here's how to shift your identity through future self-thinking. So when you change your beliefs, you change your actions. And when you change your actions, you change your reality, the life that you live. So when it comes to future self-thinking, I want you to break this loop and start thinking, right, who is it that I want to become? What would the fit, the healthy, the strong, the confident version of you been doing? What actions would they take? What beliefs would they hold? Now, every decision you make, I want you to start acting as if you're already that person. If you think, I'm going to skip the gym or I'm gonna do a certain thing, I want you to stop, pause, identify that feeling, and then I want you to think, what would the future version of me do? How would they act? Because that future version of you is going to have some shifts in your standards and your beliefs and your mindset and the way you think about things and the way you handle situations in order to get a different result to what you've got now. To achieve a higher quality result, you are going to have to elevate your standards and your inputs, which means based on the fact that you're probably watching this video, if you're still watching it, then it means that you've probably got quite low standards or low inputs now, which has meant that you've got a low quality result and you're looking to change that. So I want you to start thinking, what belief do you need to change the most? What's holding you back the most? What can you think about changing? What action can you then take to start improving that and start providing evidence to yourself that you can do it? Because then we're going to reinforce a new belief. And the more we do that, the more consistently, the higher chance you've got of actually completely rechanging your identity. And we know how important that is. Okay. And I'll just say this line one more time. When you change your beliefs, you change your actions, because we act in alignment with who we think we are. And when you change your actions, you change your reality. So simply by changing and challenging your beliefs and adopting new beliefs that are going to serve you, you change the reality of your life. Mindset shift number, should say 3. How to build true motivation and fulfillment. This is a really important one for me. People often tell me they're not feeling motivated. And there'll be times where I'm doing something, I'm like, I'm not motivated to do this. And I will genuinely look back to what I'm about to show you now. So here's how to change that. There's a loop of unfulfillment, and it goes like this. You feel low in motivation. There's inaction, so you don't take action because you're just low in motivation. You don't do something. You don't see progress, and then you regress. As an example, you're feeling low in motivation. You skip the gym. That becomes a habit. You don't make progress, and then you regress or you stay stuck. Now, how you currently feel. Like, how is it? How do you currently feel, right? This is like, I want you to be emotionally aware, because the most important thing I can do as a coach is allow you to start challenging your own thoughts. And it all starts by me teaching you this and challenging you to challenge yourself and your own thoughts and beliefs. Often we've got these, like I said, for many reasons, our past, what people have told us and what we tell ourselves. We believe certain things. But I always say to myself, like, and I will do this a lot, and I tell clients, why do you think that way? Why do you perceive certain things that way? Like, okay, think differently. If you've got a rule, how I always do this one thing, is that serving you? Not really. Okay, change it or think differently. So question yourself, because it won't just help you with your fitness, it will make your life better, relationships, work, everything. Back to the emotional awareness. So we've got a feeling. What emotions are present? So I'll give you an example in a second. Then you need to know the why. What's causing it? Okay. Need, what's missing, and the action, what's one action you can take to change the situation. So if you're not feeling fulfilled, there's going to be some form of emotion at present, and you'll understand that. You'll feel like something's missing, but you're not too sure. You're not really sure on what's missing, okay? And that's how we're here to change it, okay? So there's 6 fulfillment cups, and if one of these cups need pouring into, then that needs to be your priority moving forward. Okay, let's dive in. Number 1 is going to be physical needs. So we all need sleep, we all need movement, we need nutrition, we need to exercise, because that's what makes us feel good. And we all need to be progressing in number 1, which is going to be some form of physical need. If energy is low, motivation disappears. You don't want that. Like, I've had times where I always wake up early, and if I sit on my laptop a lot and I don't get moving for even just 10 minutes in the day, my energy is so much lower. It suffers. We all need physical needs. So if you're struggling with this one right now, you might well be, based on the fact you're watching this video. We need to make a change. And if you are, note this down. Number 2. Emotional needs. Okay, now, not getting too much into consulting for your future, like your family or your friends, relationships. That's not really what I'm here to do, but I'm here to make you aware of this and to get you thinking about it. So emotional needs, we all need to feel loved, we need to feel safe, we need to feel understood, and most importantly for me, feeling valued. I think this is really important. Not just valued by other people, because you're not just looking for reassurance from others, but you want to feel like you're providing value. And I'll talk about that in a second. If you have emotional disconnection, you feel numb, because as humans, we are meant to connect with people. Number 3, social needs, connections with friends, family. So that'll be friendships, community, and feeling seen. Like I just said, we're humans. We're not meant to be in isolation. We are wired for belonging. Number 4 is purpose. What's your meaning? What's your contribution? What's your mission? Like, I feel like every single day I speak to my clients about what I'm working towards, what my goals are, what my mission is, what I'm trying to achieve. And I'm trying to bring value with that. And when you feel like you've got purpose, you feel driven, and that reduces this low motivation. You need to feel like what you do actually matters. Number 5 is going to be growth needs. We as humans love to develop. I think as men as well, especially if you're developing like physically, you're developing financially, and you've got good relationships, often the men I speak to feel good. So the growth needs going to be learning, improving, and progressing. That can be in a variety of things, but this might be in work, career, studies. You might learn a new language. We need to feel like we're progressing. Humans need to feel like they are moving forward. And finally, number 6, contribution needs. Giving to others, making someone else's life better. I'm a person who, when I give to others and I help someone, hence why I'm a coach, I feel good. I get a sense of, oh, that was good. Like, I do all my one-to-one calls over Zoom because I'm trying to give as much value as I can. I have the meeting recorded. I have a note taker. I send the notes to them so they've got that recording after. And for me, I feel like when I'm giving more to others, it makes me feel better. Even if that's quite selfish, I know that when I'm giving more to others, I'm helping them and it helps me too. So if one of these cups or any of these cups aren't full, life can feel unfulfilling. You might feel uninspired. Life might feel like it's on autopilot, and you don't want that. You won't feel like you've got any passion. As a byproduct, you'll live a lower quality of life. And I'm going to talk you through something called the cost of inaction in a second. But if one of these cups or any of these cups are low, you need to focus on pouring into them. So the actionable step from this would be, what's one action you can take moving forward to start pouring into a cup that you feel needs pouring? Okay. Here's a solution system, like I just said. Establish what cup needs filling. So which one is it? Is it number 1, 2, 3? It might be your physical needs. Maybe you feel like you need more sleep. You need to focus on your training. It might be an emotional need. Maybe you feel like you need to start building better connections with relationships. Maybe you need to provide more value, or maybe you want to be heard. So you speak to a family member, you speak to your partner, and you get them on board with how you're feeling. Maybe it's number 3, social needs. You need to build new friendships, new connections. You might want to join a community, a coaching community, something. Purpose. Maybe you don't feel like you've got much drive right now. You don't feel like you're working towards something specific. You don't know your mission. You're not given a lot of value and you need to change that. Maybe you feel like you need to start learning a new skill, start developing, start progressing, and that's going to help you to fill number 5, the cup of growth needs. Or maybe it's number 6, you need to give to others so that you feel good in yourself. But establish which one it is. And then what I want you to do is take a small action to start pouring into that cup every single day. It's going to create something called specific evidence that you are doing that thing, which sort of goes back to the identity loop. But it means that you're progressing, you're providing evidence, it builds identity and pride. You're going to feel more fulfilled and more motivated. Mindset shift 3. I promise you there's more than just mindset, but mindset is so important. I promise you now, your body can only achieve what your mind believes. And we need to change your mindset in order to change your habits. And we are a byproduct of our habits on a consistent basis. So we need to change it. Mindset shift 3. The cost of an action is often greater than the cost of action. So I'll use it. I'm a coach, right? I'm not here to just sell you something. I'm not some sleazy salesman, but I'm here to provide you with value. And I will actually talk about that in very, very shortly. But cost of an action can be greater than the cost of action. Here's why. If you were to sign up with me or a coach or get some help with a problem that you feel like you need a solution to, guess what? Of course, there's a cost to that. Obviously, a financial investment, that's normal. But here's the problem. There's a cost of inaction. I speak to people from 6, 12 months ago. They tell me they were struggling with X thing. They're overweight, they're unfit, their health's bad. Something's like, I don't know, they're unfit, they can't play with their kids, whatever. And then I speak to them again in 6, 12 months' time. Nothing's changed. They haven't invested in themselves. They haven't tried to make a change. Or maybe they have, but they failed. And unfortunately, the position they've been in is the cost of inaction is that 6 to 12 months down the line, they're in the same position. They're still unhappy. They're still unfulfilled. They've still got low sex drive. They're still, their relationships got worse with their partner. Maybe their kids, that, like, I don't know, that can impact them, right? Because they're seeing their parents fall out. People tell me all the time that they've then got diabetes or another health problem. So there is a cost of inaction, and sometimes it's greater than the cost of action. So don't be so afraid to invest in you, because that's the best investment you can make. Same from experience. But here's the loop when it comes to inaction. You're hesitant to make a decision. It changes nothing, because if nothing changes, nothing really changes. Time goes by, but there's no differences in what you've done. Nothing's changed, no impact, no improvements. And number 4 here is you've lost time. There's been no improvement in the quality of your life, and the problem still hasn't been solved, and it could have been solved. Okay, the next thing is remember your why and choose your how. This is the final thing I want to say related to mindset. Remember your why. What is your reason for doing this? If you have a strong why and you always relate back to that, your whole journey becomes so much easier. My why is I never want to go back to an underconfident young man who doesn't feel like he can look after himself, is scared to make decisions, is scared to lead from the front, is anxious with every single decision he makes, has no confidence, isn't doing well at work, struggles with money, doesn't like the way he looks, goes on holiday and hates taking his top off and just keeps it on, and feels like he's holding himself back, lives a lower quality of life, is unfit, has so many negative things. I'm never going to be that person again, okay? And that's my why. And my also why is because I want to be the strong man that I know I can be for my future family. Okay, whoever's in my life in the future, right? Friends, family, I want to be the strongest person I can be for myself, but to also give to them. Now, that's my why, because life's tough, life's going to be difficult. You need mental and physical resilience in this world. And I know that it's not up for debate, because there's going to be things that happen in life that are hard. Of course there will. Things will happen. But you need to be equipped and capable of dealing with it, okay? And that's so important to me, and that's one of my whys. And choose your hard. Life's hard. If you go on the treadmill and I do my interval runs, that's hard. If I go boxing and I'm having a boxing match, that's hard. If I'm sparring, that's hard. The training's hard. The strength training's hard. But it's also hard when you start getting injuries. It's hard if you don't feel like you can defend yourself. It's hard if you try and run for 30 seconds to chase the ball with your kids and you're knackered. Or when you walk up a hill, you're out of breath. You go up the stairs, the lift at, the stairs at work. They're all hard. It's just which one would you rather have? And I know which my answer would be. Okay, let's change the trajectory of this call. Let's switch from mindset. We spent 25 minutes talking on that, and that's as much value as I can give you in 25 minutes. I can promise you now, if you apply that, you'll get a lot from it. And by the way, if you are enjoying this so far, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm posting weekly at the moment, and my goal is to only increase that over time. Not only will the quantity of my production increase, but so will the quality. And that will happen, and that is a promise to you watching. Also, if you prefer daily content, short form content, head to my Instagram, Jacob Smith Coach. Follow my account there. I post daily to help high performing men to completely transform their life. And let's carry on. So, foundations of fat loss. I think the more you know, the more you understand, the easier things get. So the reason, let's keep this simple, not in a patronizing way, but here's the reason why your body has accumulated excess body fat. And I'm not going to tell you the obvious. I'm going to actually talk you through a little bit of the science. So when your body needs a certain amount of calories to maintain its weight. Okay, say it's 2,000. If you're eating in excess of that and you're always giving your body more energy than it needs to maintain its weight, what it does is it goes, oh, hang about, we've got more energy than we need. I'm going to save that for later. And it saves it for later in case there's a time where you need more food. Maybe you haven't got food and you haven't got available. Okay, this is when having stored fat is there to help. So it gets stored in the form of excess body fat. Now, when you're then in a time, and this is when you'll understand the calorie deficit, and this will make sense. When your body's then in a position in the future where you're in a calorie deficit, meaning that you're consuming less calories than you need to maintain your weight, what it then does is it pulls from the body fat and it uses the previous energy you gave yourself that you didn't need at the time to provide yourself with the current energy that you're not getting from your diet. That's how a calorie deficit works. So if you need 2,000 calories to maintain your weight and you're giving your body 1,500, you need 500 calories from somewhere. So here's what your body does. It gets 500 calories from excess body fat, okay? And it uses that for the inadequate energy that you're currently giving your body. And it turns that fat cells, it uses the fat cells from your excess body fat. Now, the more fat cells you can use, the less body fat you're going to have because it pulls away from your body fat. So what does that mean? The longer you can stay in a calorie deficit, the more fat cells are utilized for inadequate energy from the diet currently, which means the less body fat you're going to have. And that's why being in a calorie deficit for extended periods of time is key. Yeah. Now, a calorie deficit, like I said, is just essentially consuming less calories. It's an energy balance, calories in versus calories out. You want to make sure that your body burns more calories on a day-to-day basis and you're consuming less calories so that at the end of the week, you can look back, or at the end of the day, however you want to look at it, and you can go, right, my body is currently in a position where I'm in a deficit and I'm consuming less calories than I need to maintain my weight. And at the end of the day, you're in that deficit so that your body goes, right, we need to get some excess body fat from elsewhere so that we can start putting that into the body for energy so that the fat cells can be utilized and the body fat can start to cut and disappear. And it's needed. It is needed for fat loss. That's the way it works. That's the science behind it. It is needed for fat loss. There's a few ways to create it and we will talk through that. But the most important thing is that you do this for long periods of time. You can't just do it for a week and expect great results. You need to be persistent with it, consistent, and that's how you're going to get great results. Now, here's how to create a calorie deficit. First of all, you need to understand how active you are. Do you have an active job or do you sit at a desk? What's your age, your weight, your height, your gender? What I do to figure out your total daily energy expenditure, because there's two different forms, I'll talk you through it now. You've got something that's called NEAT, which means non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's the calories that you burn outside of, just on a day-to-day basis. My right hand's always flapping about when I talk. I'm burning calories doing that. When I'm twitching my toes or I'm going to open the cupboard, I'm burning calories, right? Just moving. It's anything outside of planned exercise, whereas EAT is exercise activity thermogenesis. And that's just the calories from planned exercise, right? So planned exercise might be like you're going to do a gym session, you're going to do planned cardio on the treadmill, whatever. So depending on how active you are will depend on how many calories you need. I would go onto the calorie calculator, TDEE, caloriecalculator.net, work out your total daily energy expenditure, and it will tell you roughly what calories you need to be consuming. Try that for a week, okay? And let's say by the end of the week, I want you to track your weight every single day. If you get to the end of the week and your weight isn't going down, okay? If it's not going down at, say, an average of between 0.2 and 0.5 kilo a week, I would start to do one of two things, and I'll talk you through that towards the end of the video. Now, I want to talk you through how to build a strategy, because a strategy is so important. If you don't have a plan, you don't understand what you're working towards, you also lose a bit of fulfillment and a bit of motivation. You don't have that vision, you don't feel as inspired, and you don't actually have something that's systemized and built for you to achieve the outcome that you want. So here's how to build a strategy. Now, building a success roadmap, let me talk you through it. Imagine you've got where you are now, that's your current position. And then you've got B, where you want to go. You need to cross that road. On the other side of the road is the outcome that you want. But there's going to be loads of hurdles, there's going to be loads of barriers to stopping you from getting there. Imagine you're on a road, there's going to be protesters getting in the way, you've got to fling them out of the way, you've got roadblocks, you've got red lights, you've got pedestrians, you've got an animal that's got loose. How can you get rid of all these barriers to stopping you from crossing so that the only other option is that you get to the other side? That's what we need to do. And theoretically, it should be quite easy, but it's not. Let me show you how to build it. But first of all, I'm happy to have a call with 3 men who want to learn exactly how to build a proper strategy to achieve their dream outcome. All you need to do if you want to have access to that, where we can have a one-to-one call, it'll take us around half an hour on Zoom. Message me the word roadmap on Instagram. My Instagram is Jacob Smith Coach. I'll know where you've came from and we'll go from there. Now, I want you to first of all establish, where are you now? What's your current position? What does that look like? Because you don't want to just go from what you're doing now, terrible habits, to just changing everything at once. We need to work in systemized phases. I also want you to establish the goal. So what do you actually want to do? What's the dream outcome? Don't tell me what you want. Tell me what you truly think. Don't tell me what you think is just possible. Tell me what you truly want, because a lot of people limit themselves. If you've already got these negative limiting beliefs that hold you back, we spoke about mindset at the start. I want you to already challenge yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to tell you what I want, not just what I think I can achieve, because your mind subconsciously will always tell you what you genuinely perceive you can achieve based on how you perceive yourself. See how this is all coming together, right? But I want you to tell me what you truly want, what is the goal. Once you've established that, we need to phase it across the estimated time frame that it's going to take you to achieve that outcome. So if we think it might take you 2 years, we'd need to start working, right, how can we work backwards? What do we need to do? How much weight are we trying to lose per week? How can we make sure that okay, so let's say we need to be losing £2 or £1 a week on average. What are we going to do with your nutrition, your training? How are we going to start to plan so you can achieve that? What about your expenditure, your step count? How are we planning that? What about your actual training program? How are we building that? If you want to build some muscle as well, if you want to improve your cardiovascular fitness, we need to take all that into consideration as well. So that answers the question, what actions need to happen? And then we need to establish what barriers might get in the way. Okay, well, you've got all the different festive periods in the year. You've got socialising with friends. You've got work dues. You've got when you go to work, okay? And all the limitations there. When can you even eat? Like, what's your lunch break? About if you work on the road? Or what about if you're in long meetings all the time? Like, there's going to be barriers. We need to learn how to navigate that and build a plan that suits you, fits you, so that it fits seamlessly into your life and it doesn't feel like it's something that's going to be a chore or something that's really difficult and it just isn't going to work. Because the harder something is, the more you're going to resent it. The easier something is to follow, the easier it is to get a result. So we need to establish what might get in the way, okay? And imagine we've got like 10 doors in a room. Every single door is a reason why you can't achieve the outcome that you want to achieve. And there's one door that if you walk through, you will get the outcome you want. We basically want to navigate every situation possible that might stop you from getting the result, every single barrier possible, so that we go, right, okay, work's going to be a struggle, right? We build a system and a solution to solve that problem, cross that door off. We've got another problem. It's going to be difficult when you get home because for whatever reason let's say you get back really late. You're going to struggle to find the time, you're really busy. Okay, well, let's build a solution so that time's not a problem and we can make your life much easier. Cross that door. The goal is to cross every door so that the only door possible for you to walk through is going to be the one that aligns with getting you the result. How can you navigate it? That's the key. It's all about navigation, okay? I hope that helps. But like I said, if you guys want an actionable, like systemized roadmap, please message me the word roadmap on Instagram and I will get back to you and help you. And if not, I'll probably have another video that I can send you over that breaks it down. Definitely something that I'm going to get on top of soon. But it is difficult. Obviously, I can't really just provide everything in one. Like if I go into very, very fine detail and everything, I think I'll be here for about 5 hours. I mean, maybe you guys want to watch that, so let me know in the comments. But strategy doesn't always work. You can have an idea, you can have a goal, you can have what you think is going to do, what you think is going to be needed to done to. Can't get my words out now. What you think needs to get done to get there, but strategy won't always work. Sometimes things happen, things get in the way. You need to be able to adapt. Adaptability is key because things will need to change across the journey. Okay. A final thing I want to talk about on this side of things on strategy is if it's not booked, it won't get done. You know exactly what you're doing when you get to work. You know the plan for the day, what you're working towards, what your work targets are, your KPIs, I don't know, if you've got a marketing campaign, what are you doing with your marketing campaign? When are you posting this post? What social media channels are you posting on? What offers are going live? I don't know, if you work in sales, then you're going to know who are the warm leads that you need to contact. How are you going to, like, what's your actual process? Do you cold call? Are you doing emails? Are you doing like Instagram? What's your funnel? Like there's so much going into it. Um, and you know exactly what you're doing. I want you to have the same logic when it comes to your training and your actual fitness, okay? But also, you know what hours you're working. You know what hours you're going to be you know what hours you're going to be going to work, what time you're going to be leaving, when your lunch break is. But when it comes to your free time, you manage it as if you're a child. You don't even think about it. So I want you to start implementing this exact system. Go onto your calendar. If you're not using a digital calendar, your time management isn't good. Go onto a digital calendar and start planning out at what time you're going to go to the gym, at what time you're going to prep your meals, unless you just want to delegate that and use a meal prep company, which a lot of my clients do. The main point I'm trying to tell you is if it's not booked, you won't do it. But if it gets booked, it gets done. And when you put something in the calendar, usually you're going to go to the gym at 7 till 8:30 p.m., including travel time, let's say. I then want you to treat that as if you had a meeting with a client or at work. What would you then do? You go, right, I've got a meeting at 7, I need to go in my room, concentrate, have my meeting. Show that you're showing respect to either yourself if you run your own business or the company you work for. Show that same respect to your body and your health, because your body and your health doesn't just impact you, it impacts the future you, it impacts your family, it impacts everyone you spend your time with, your team, every relationship you've got. If you're not the best version of you, you can't give the best to others. So start understanding that. But it all starts when you start getting things booked in your calendar. Okay, let's move on. The next thing I want to talk about is a social event survival guide. As it's November, I did a call yesterday around how November and December, yes, very busy times of the year, loads of socializing, more alcohol, more food for the majority of people. Now, here's the difference between someone in shape and someone out of shape. I said this earlier on, but it's all going to come down to standards. The person in shape, let's say me, for example, I am going to make sure I will still be exercising because, and I'll tell you why, my standards are high, but also for me, it's an identity. Like I identify as someone who will always prioritize his health. It's a non-negotiable. These are non-negotiables for me because I understand in order to have high outcomes, I need these high standards and I need to act in that way. I don't even think about saying, "Oh, should I just have a month off training?" It never comes to my head because I've identified and I've worked on that through the times of developing myself. Now, it is going to be difficult to navigate. If you work with me for 12 months, I will show you exactly how you can navigate every period of the year so that you know how to do it moving forward. But there's three things that I want to talk you through. Three things that have provided a lot of value to clients and it helped me massively. So first of all, the 10-10-10 rule. You can say, I'll give you one example. So let's say if you go to a social event and to apply this rule, I want you to think, okay, am I going to remember this event or this thing 10 hours from now or 10 days from now? Am I going to remember this thing 10 weeks or 10 months from now? And am I going to remember this thing 10 years from now? Let's say, as an example, you're on a yacht. It's your mate's 30th. You're on a yacht. You're in Dubai. The weather's beautiful. You've got a private chef on there. He's cooking up amazing food. But you're on a diet and you want to eat healthily because you're trying to lose fat. If you do not eat the food that chef is cooking, there's something wrong with you, right? And I'm telling you that now, right? Let's be serious. If you don't eat that food that chef's cooking because you're trying to lose body fat, guess what? There's no way that you can tell me that you wouldn't regret that. I think everyone would be in agreement that you would regret not trying this fabulous food, fabulous location with probably your loved ones around you. However, if you're going for a bit of grub at the local pub with your mates or your family on a random Wednesday evening, and they say, "Should we have a starter or a dessert?" and you say, "Nah, I'm all right," I think that's the best decision. Or do you feel like if you said that, what would happen? Do you feel like you'd regret that? Do you feel like you'd walk away and go, I really wish I had that chocolate brownie that I've already had multiple times from the local pub? Or do you feel like you'll be like, no, you know what? There is going to have to be some sacrifices that I make in order to get an outcome that I've had. Are you getting that? I hope you're understanding this. I hope it's making sense. But the point I'm trying to make is sacrifices are necessary, but they don't always have to be made. If I went to a pub and I was just having food with family, I'm probably just going to have a main. I don't feel like I need a starter. I don't feel like I need a dessert. I don't need to have like an 800-calorie dessert and make that a regular thing and make it a habit. If we understand the importance of our habits that basically define us, I don't want that to be a habit. That's not a good habit. And I know it's just a chocolate brownie. That's not that deep, right? It's not that nice. But if I'm on a yacht or if I'm on holiday, I don't hold myself back. Like I don't absolutely take the mick. I'm not just going to sit there and make myself feel sick because I feel like if you have that problem, it's something that definitely needs work. I used to be like that. I'd eat so much to a point where I'd make myself ill. But if I saw a nice croissant on holiday that I wanted, or a nice bit of ice cream or something, a nice pudding, and if I then didn't have it and flew back and on the plane was thinking, oh, I wish I just tried that. that was a bad decision and that creates a bad mindset. So start using this 10-10-10 rule and thinking about how important it's going to be to you in 10 weeks, 10 months and 10 years time, and make decisions based on that. If you feel like you're not going to regret it, then you can go for it. If you feel like you'd regret not having it, then you know what you need to do. So yeah, let's make sure we apply that. The next thing is damage limitation. So understand that there's going to be phases of your life. You're not always trying to progress. That's not going to be the goal. Over December, my goal, my fitness, I have a few competitions, but from like a nutrition standpoint, I'm not going to be losing weight, but I'm not going to be gaining weight. I'm just going to be focusing on maintenance. I'm not trying to like have a massive push in my fitness journey and be absolutely crazy shape. I'm going to enjoy myself, but I'm going to focus on avoiding regression, focusing on damage limitation. I'm not planning on thinking I always have to progress. If I progress for 10, 11 months in the year, and then for maybe 2 weeks in summer and 2 weeks around Christmas and New Year, I'm a bit more lenient. That for me is very fair. That's a very fair trade-off. I'm always working hard, but then I enjoy myself for a few weeks in the summer. I enjoy myself for a few weeks at the end of the year. That's very normal. And that's been massively helping me. And the final thing that's helped me and clients is prep. If you know that you're going out in the evening and you're going to have some alcohol, you know, you're going to have a lot of food, guess what? Maybe make sure first of all you're dehydrated. Don't make sure you're dehydrated. Make sure you're hydrated. Maybe have some electrolytes, some water. Make sure that you're on top of your hydration before you just go and dehydrate your body. Next thing, if you're not planning on eating a lot, have some food before you go out. If you're planning on having a late night, then make sure you have an early night the night before. Little things just to prep in advance. Calorie banking. Use these things, implement them to make your life easier. Let's move on. Next thing, nutrition 101. I'm cautious of time. Okay, is it just calories in versus calories out? Essentially, yeah, but what I want you to understand is, I want to say, I wish I could just say no. I feel like it'd be really like people would get their back up, but it shouldn't be this case. Like, I don't want you to feel like if you have 1,000 calories of chocolate versus high quality nutritious food that it's the same thing. Because and I'm going to use it feels weird sometimes saying things as a fitness coach because of how many people have said this. I feel like I'm just repeating, but I heard this years ago and everyone's heard it before. But it's a mile. It's just a mile, right? But a mile of you walking versus a mile of you sprinting uphill is going to be a lot different. Okay, so understand that if you have X amount of calories, whatever your target is, of good quality nutritious food, in my opinion and from experience, not only of course you'll feel better, but I genuinely believe that I look better too. If I'm eating nutritious food, I'm having my carbohydrates, sweet potatoes and oats and a lot of obviously healthy like fruits and fiber. If my diet is good quality, I start to not just feel good, but I feel like I look a lot better as well. And I don't know if that's in my head. I genuinely feel like I should try and get some data behind that, but yeah, calories in versus calories out, but do not just look at your MyFitnessPal or your tracker at the end of the day and think you're in a great place because you're under your calories. If you're eating crap food and your diet consists of burgers, pizzas, sweets, chocolate, and you're not having any nutrition in there, I would second guess that and I would have a look at it. Small versus large deficit. Some people tell me that they're going to go in a massive deficit, they're going to lose fat at a massively fast rate, and that's going to be the best bet for them. I'm against it, and I'll tell you why. The only time I'm against, to be fair, if you're someone who is really large, not really the type of person I work with, if you're like massive, like really, really struggling in terms of you have to lose this weight immediately. I definitely could have worded that better, but yeah, most people I work with might want to lose, say, 20 kilo. I'm talking if you're someone who needs to lose like, say, double or even triple that, a large deficit is probably going to serve you. But if you're someone who wants to lose under 20 kilo, a smaller deficit is going to allow you to be in that deficit for a longer period of time, sustain your energy so that you actually feel good during the process and build some muscle in the process too. I don't want you to be feeling absolutely terrible but losing weight at a faster rate. I want you to feel good every single day. A lot of people I work with run their own business or they work in different industries that require them to be very on it at work. And if they're not, because your energy is so low, then guess what? Your performance at work is going to decrease. Maybe your business starts to suffer. We don't want that. So a small 500 to 750 calorie deficit works really well for around £1 to £1.50 of fat loss per week. And that's what I definitely recommend for you if your goal is to lose under 20 kilo and your goal is to be sustainable in the process, build some muscle and feel energized in and outside the gym. Okay, macronutrients 101. We've got carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Now, carbohydrates and protein contain 4 calories per gram. Fats contain 9 calories per gram. So when people say fats make you fat, that's not the case. Fats are just more energy dense. So for a smaller portion, you get a higher amount of calories. Therefore, it's easy, very easy to overconsume. I need you to understand that. But Here's how to actually make sure you're getting the right macronutrient split and how to understand it. Now, I can give you a rough basis, but this is all going to depend on, right, how active are you? What type of activity do you engage in? Are you someone who like does a lot of high intensity exercise? Are you someone who doesn't? Are you someone who's doesn't do too much weightlifting? Or are you someone who's really trying to build muscle? It all depends, but roughly, protein 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight, carbohydrates 3 to 6 grams per kilo of body weight, and fats 0.8 to 1.2 per kilo of body weight. This can massively vary, but there or thereabouts, these are the sort of targets you should be achieving. I'm thinking in my head, if you've got like a fitness event, your carb loading, that changes massively. But typically, for most people I've worked with, this is going to be a nice basis. Sometimes on the protein, you might go up to 2.5, depends. But macronutrients are great, and of course, they're like, that's how you work out, obviously, what your calories are comprised of. And it's important to get the right split. And I should have touched upon one more thing here, is that protein, you have something called the thermal effects of food. So the food you eat requires energy and calories to break down. Protein actually requires more energy. It's harder to be broken down by the body, and therefore, when you consume more protein, your body actually burns more calories simultaneously, which is an interesting fact. But also, to add to that, I should have said, I don't want to go, I have got videos in way more detail, but I'm being cautious of time. There's so much benefits of making sure you get a good amount of protein, and you hit like even your dietary fat. If you have low dietary fat, you're probably going to be deficient in fat soluble vitamins, so then you're going to have deficiencies there, and your health, yeah, it's not great. So make sure that you're being really cautious around your macronutrients, but not to overcomplicate it and get you to feel overwhelmed. Focus first on consistency with calories. So let's make it like a step thing. Step 1, track your food. Step 2, track your food and hit your calories. Step 3, track your food, hit your calories, and hit your protein. Step 4, track your food, hit your calories, hit your protein, high quality food options consistently. And step 5 would be cautious around, I'd say, carbohydrates around your exercise windows and starting to really prioritize that. And step 6 would be making sure that you start focusing on, in fact, I wouldn't even worry about step 6. Let's get up to step 5. Because then obviously step 5 would be more around like optimizing performance. So in and out of the gym, like making sure your nutrition pre-gym and post-gym is good. And fats is really important for like your hormones as well. So let's make sure we're on top of that. Micronutrients 101. Your body, imagine these micronutrients being like the things that allow you to release the energy from the macronutrients. They support them. Really important for overall health. Your vitamins, your minerals. Don't neglect this, because this allows you to feel good and perform good too. So the way you're going to get most of your macronutrients for me is like fruit, veg is going to be your primary, but making sure you've got a varied diet so you're not going to be deficient things. And of course, you can get tested to see if you have any obvious deficiencies, and then it can be a case of like supplements can work as well, but we'll talk through that in a second. Fiber. Fiber is something that I need you to start focusing on, and here's why. If you're someone who wants to make sure that you're feeling fuller for longer, your digestive health is looked after, and you also want to make sure that you're consuming a varied diet, watch out for your fiber intake. So here's what you should be doing. Fiber, I'm going to say, let's say 25 to 30 grams for most people, roughly. That's how much I want you to be consuming a day. Now, that's going to slow down digestion within each meal. It's going to occupy more space in your digestive system. When it does that, what happens is you have these like stretch receptors in your stomach. When your stomach is expanding, you have stretch receptors that detect that expansion and cause hunger inhibiting hormones to be released. Okay, so then that tells your body, right, we don't need more food because we're getting full. We're detecting all this expansion from the fiber. Now, that's going to be really important. I want you to think why, but it should be hopefully quite obvious. If you're starting to feel like you don't want to eat more, then you're going to avoid or reduce the chances of you wanting to overeat, because you don't feel that desire to want to consume food anymore. So that's really important. And of course, for your digestive health as well, imagine it's given like your internal, like all your body like a bit of a clean. Imagine it that way. Most of the fiber I can get from my diet and my clients is going to be from fruit, veg, and whole grains. So start implementing more. Meal timing and satiety hacks. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking this, make sure to like this video, let me know in the comments, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, if you like daily content, head to my Instagram. If you're still watching, 48 minutes, 49 now, we've just hit 49. You're still watching or you're still listening to the podcast. If you're on the podcast as well, definitely, I don't know if it's follow or, it's follow the show. Please follow the show, and of course, make sure that you rate the podcast. It massively helps. And if you like daily content, you should head on to my Instagram, Jacob Smith Coach. I don't do any paid advertisement on here on Spotify or YouTube. So literally, this is all word of mouth and just from me promoting it a bit on Instagram. But this is going to be where my long form content is at, to provide value in more depth rather than shorter form videos. Okay, let's continue. So Meal timing and satiety hacks. Why is that important? First of all, meal timing allows your body to understand at specific times when it's going to eat. If you have good meal timing, you're going to be giving yourself consistent energy throughout the day, making sure that you avoid overeating it or prevent the chance of it happening, prevent the chance of you feeling just random bursts of hunger, and it's going to allow you to feel more energized across the whole day. It's important to have some hacks to improve satiety. You want to feel satiated, which means full, because when you do that, you're going to reduce the chance of you overeating. So I've got a little bit of a method. PFFH. P is for protein. So a high protein diet. Protein slows down digestion as well, because and also, of course, we understand the benefits of protein and why that's important. But consuming, depending on your target, this is how I work it out. If you have a 160 gram protein target, you know that if you're having 4 meals a day, you divide 160 divided by 4, that's 40 grams of protein per meal. Then you just find a protein source. By the way, I do have a protein cheat sheet. If you want access to that for free, message me on Instagram the word cheat sheet, and I'll know what you're talking about, and I'll send it you over. You'd pick on that protein cheat sheet every single protein option that you obviously whatever one you want, whichever one you're going to consume, and then work out what quantity of that you need to hit the 40 grams of protein. That simple. The second one is going to be F, which is fiber. We just spoke about that. The third F is food volume. So portions that contain bigger portions, but for quite a low amount of calories, means that again you've got a larger quantity. You're gonna, when you consume that and you're digesting it, your stomach detects expansion, and then as a byproduct, hunger inhibiting hormones are released. You don't feel as hungry because naturally, guess what? You're having more mouthfuls of food. When you have more, you've got a bigger food volume. Naturally, you're not going to have that desire to want to continue eating. So things like Greek yogurt work great as an example because it's low calories, high protein, so that ticks 2 boxes. Things like fruit and veg work great because it's low calories but high food volume and high fiber. So then you're getting 3. Hope this is making sense. And the final one is hydration. Your body can mistake hunger for dehydration, and of course there's loads of negatives associated with dehydration. So let's make sure that you're someone who is starting to prioritize their hydration through, of course, water, but also electrolytes as well. And here's how to master snacking, because I used to be someone, I was a chronic snacker. Like if I was an emotional eater, I'd want to binge eat all the time, and it made me feel better momentarily, right? But it didn't serve me. Here's how I mastered it. The time in which I planned on snacking, the time that I wanted to snack, I would then allocate calories to that time. So with all my clients, I provide like a meal guide. I tell them based on when their appetite's high and when it's low, how to structure their nutrition. Let's say as an example, and actually I'll refer this back with your meal timing. Let's say you're someone who has a low appetite in the morning. I'm either going to get you to fast, or what I'm going to get you to do is have a lower amount of calories in the morning because you don't feel the desire to have that. And then we'll allocate higher amount of calories across the day to a time in which your appetite's increased, and maybe some calories towards a time where you feel like you're going to snack. This way, when we do that and we've built a guide and a plan, you can have that snack, say, in the evening, guilt-free, not thinking, oh, I'm going to go over my calories and put on weight. You're going to be having that knowing that it's planned into your routine and your nutrition so that you're still going to be able to lose fat while snacking in the evening, and at the same time you're going to still feel energized across the day because you've listened to your body and how it feels. Really important. But another thing, if you do want to actually have access to a free meal guide, I've built a meal guide for busy professionals, for men that want to learn how to make sure their energy is good across the day, the type of meals to be eating, the recipes, etc. Comment or message me the word meal guide on Instagram and I'll send it over to you for free. Okay, so mastering snacking, we've got PFFH and sweet treat. So protein, food volume, fiber, hydration, and sweet treat. The difference here, and my favorite one, is that the goal here is to build like a mini meal, and we call it a snack. Instead of just having a chocolate bar, here's what to do instead. Have something that's quite high in protein. Greek yogurt works great. Have something with a bit of fiber in. Okay, add some fruit in. So now you've got Greek yogurt and some fruit, maybe some raspberries and some strawberries. Then we need something that has a good amount of food volume. That's okay. The Greek yogurt ticks that off. Hydration. Make sure you've got some water, maybe an electrolyte if you've been training next to you as well. And the final thing, whack that chocolate bar right on top. Or give it a little shred. So some people, like, obviously for me, that's one of my favorite things, but I'll melt it. So I'd go and I'd melt that in the microwave and pour it on top over the fruit. This way, what you do is you cover the key fundamentals that we need to increase satiety and to make sure you're satiated and full. But also we add that sweet treat in so you don't start avoiding certain foods, and then you don't start craving these foods that when you do cause you to overeat, overconsume, and as a byproduct not lose body fat. Okay, the next thing, we're moving at a good pace now. Supplements that help and supplements that don't help. Now, I do actually have a YouTube video, so I can list that below if I'm technically savvy enough to work it out. But I have a YouTube video on the type of supplements that I consumed or I took every day on my 30 kilo of body fat journey, where I lost 30 kilo of fat. And these are the ones I recommend to clients, but everyone will vary in terms of not only the actual supplement, but also the quantity and how much you require of it. But with every supplement, I want you to ask yourself this question. And every decision you make, start asking yourself this: what problem are you trying to solve? When you opt for electrolytes, what problem are you trying to solve? When you're talking about creatine, what problem are you solving? So first of all, ask yourself that. And secondly, ask yourself, is my nutrition good? Is my training good? And is my sleep good? There's no point worrying about the 1% and the 2% from supplements if your nutrition, your training, and your sleep is poor. That's going to allow you to get the best results. So if that's hard to hear and you feel like you want a magic pill to get quick fixes, I'm not the guy for that. But if you want someone who gives you like no BS advice, tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, and that's going to allow you to get a result, I would definitely recommend you focus on the fundamentals of nutrition, training, and recovery. But here's what I take and what a lot of my clients will take as well: vitamin D, electrolytes, vitamin C. Sometimes around the winter period, I will start to have more vitamin C, and vitamin D is around like the winter period as well. Creatine, monohydrate specifically, a multivitamin, you can't go wrong, a magnesium before bed, and protein powder if you're someone who struggles to get your protein in, or like someone like me, you might just quite like the flavour with yogurt or with oats. So start adding these in, but don't take this as like direct advice, because I don't know your situation, but these are the ones I've had. So do your research, have a look into them, and if you feel like that would solve a problem that you're facing, it might be worth looking into. Okay, let's carry on. So here's how to manage cravings and emotional eating, because this is what a lot of people struggle with. What my goal is to think, right, what problems do most people have, and what solution have I got to provide you with to help you get rid of that problem? Because like we spoke about where you are now, where you want to be in the barriers, the more of the barriers I can get rid of, the more of the doors I can close, the higher the likelihood that you walk for that one door, which is you getting the result and the future version of you. So here's how to manage cravings and emotional eating. First of all, do not avoid, just adapt and start thinking about how you can implement and not just restrict. If you're full of restrictions, unfortunately, it's not going to work. It goes back to the all or nothing mindset we spoke about, where you go on a health kick, you get rid of any food that's classed as unhealthy, you cut it out your diet, and guess what? When you do that, 6 weeks in, you're absolutely craving it, you binge eat, you feel terrible, you go down this downward spiral, and you fall off track completely. So do not avoid and do not restrict, just minimize and start to make changes like we spoke about with the snacking. Now, in terms of emotional eating, it's really difficult because everyone does it for a different reason, but typically it's stress or you're upset or it's something that's obviously due to an emotion. But first of all, look at what's caused that emotion. That's the obvious thing. Like, can we actually break that first? If you weren't feeling emotional, you wouldn't have the problem with the emotional eating. Second of all, every single time you feel like you're going to go off track, you feel emotional, we need to change your identity. We need to shift your perception. You've got this identity loop right now of when you're emotional, the next step is to have some food. That allows you to feel better. And then you reinforce that belief that I'm an emotional eater. How can we change that? So catch that thought. Okay, you're feeling negative, you're feeling down, you feel like you want to go and eat based on the fact that you're emotional. What can you do to change that, right? Change the action. So if we go back to the identity loop, if I didn't have to through 60 slides, then I would. But go back to that identity loop and think, okay, I've got the beliefs I'm an emotional eater. I've got the action that I've took. I'm about to think about consuming bad food in excess. But what I'm going to do instead is change the action. When I change the action over time, it changes the evidence, and that then changes and doesn't reinforce a belief. It changes the belief, and it shows you that instead of being an emotional eater, you can then be someone who identifies as someone who can handle their emotions and doesn't go back to emotional eating, and instead can solve the problem and switch a negative, a low mindset emotionally into a positive. Maybe you change that to go into a walk or going and doing a training session, or maybe you go and do, I don't know, listen to music. Whatever it is, everything work, like we're all different. You then change the loop, and instead of having this negative belief, this action in alignment that confirms it, and then this reinforced belief, you change it. You still have that feeling, okay, but your action and what you do is different, and that gives you evidence that you're not that emotional eater and you can change it, and then you reinforce that positive belief that, you know what, I can do it. Okay, hope this is helping. Next thing, before we dive into training 101, I want to talk you through some success stories that I've had from my clients aside Made for More. Perfect on the hour mark, pretty much. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I don't want to bore you, but this will inspire you, because these people, I'm so proud of every one of them because they've all transformed, and I'm so proud of every single one of them because not just they don't just look better, the picture just is part of the story. What some of these have managed to achieve as a byproduct in their whole life is amazing. How it's impacted them, their family, their partner, their social life, their relationships, their career, crazy. So Harry's transformation: works in the ambulance service, was low in confidence, kept making excuses. This is one for you. If you keep negotiating with your excuses, you're making life hard for you. He was unhappy. He joined Made for More. He lost, I think, 10 kilo in 8 weeks. You can see, great change. And that was in 8 weeks. That was on a case study that I did in summer. Thomas, in his 30s, he's a dad, he's got a wife, he's busy, works at an office job as well, 3 hours of exercise per week. So he did 3 gym sessions per week, that's it. He was unsure on the online model, he wasn't too sure about it. He wasn't sure if he could get into shape without these big restrictions, without a diet plan, because he really wanted a diet plan, and I told him, no, you don't need it. And he joined Made for More, listened to what I said, applied it, and the results speak for themselves. Alex, business owner, runs a company, has a lot of people working under him, stressed, struggled to manage his fitness, his health, always building a business and obviously managing a team. Also has a family as well, he's a dad and also has a wife. 4 hours of exercise per week, strategy implemented to allow him to achieve a result, which you can see here. Was unsure on the online model, never done it before. As a byproduct, joined Made for More, completely transformed. Okay, next one. Matthew's transformation. Look here, nailed his career. Okay, he was doing well with work, but he was low in confidence. He didn't have the confidence in himself. He was overweight. He had an unhealthy routine. Can't get words out. Routine. He was making excuses. He was ultimately unhappy. He joined Made for More, and he completely transformed. Luke, CEO of a company, managing over 100 employees, which is crazy. Lots of responsibility. Stressed out, struggling to prioritize his own health. Back problems. What he didn't even join a gym. 90 minutes of exercise per week, changes within his nutrition that we spoke about, 1 stone down in 7 weeks, home workouts, joined Made for More, transformed. Here's Paul, director of a business, I think 2 now, dad, has a family, has a partner, stressed out, struggling to manage his health, seen all this conflicting stuff online, didn't know what was best to do. Instead, joined Made for More, got the help, and you can see the difference. Results speak for themselves. Last but not least, Riley, young, aspiring, high-performing young male, career-driven, doing well with work, works very long days, low in confidence, taking action but wasn't really getting the results, which feels frustrating for him, unsure on how to cut through the online BS, joined Made for More, completely transformed. I think there's only like a 5 kilo difference, but the way he looks is completely different. This guy was Riley was just like so committed to getting help with his training as well, sending me videos in the gym, getting me to review his form every single week, and you can really see the difference. Let's continue. But so before I do that, just head to the link in the description on this YouTube video or on this Spotify podcast, and I've put a video in there explaining what my Made for More program is and how it can specifically help you to achieve the results that you want. So head to the link in my bio, click on that, and learn about my Made for More program and see if it would be a good fit for you. If it is, check what I've put at the end of the video, and I think it will massively serve you, could change your life. Okay, so where are we? Training 101, let's move on. So why building muscle will help you lose fat? Now, when you build muscle, you speed up your metabolism, and what it also means is obviously loads of benefits in terms of you're stronger. You're going to be like things to do with your connective tissue, your tendons. You're less resilient to injury. Like everything's going to move better. You're going to be more functional. You're going to you're going to have less movement limitations, loads of different benefits. But one I thought would be interesting for you, considering obviously everyone wants to lose fat that watches this video, is that you'll burn more calories just by existing. So every single time you wake up and go to bed, like the whole time you live in a 24-hour day, you'll burn more calories at rest because muscle is more demanding. It requires more calories. So just by having more muscle mass, you can technically consume more calories and you'd maintain your weight. But here's how to build muscle whilst losing fat. Let me talk you through the key fundamentals to know what to do inside the gym. First of all, you need proper exercise selection. With every single exercise you choose in the gym, you need to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, what adaptation you're targeting. Adaptation meaning what is the result, what is the goal that you're trying to, how do you want your muscle to adapt as a byproduct of doing that exercise. And when you understand that, you build a proper selected, like a proper program that shows you and allows you to train the muscle group that you want twice per week to start achieving results, to start building muscle. That's the first part. The second part is the execution. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you execute it like a donut, you're not going to get the results that you want. You need to make sure that you're doing it correctly. You're doing the form right. Your tempo's under control. You're making sure that you're thinking about the correct cues. The actual form's correct. These are so important. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong. You won't get the desired adaptation that you want from that specific movement. Number three is intensity. It's such a key driver for building muscle. If you train like, I don't even know how to explain it. If you train like soft and you're not willing to push yourself, you're not willing to work hard, you won't get the results that you want. You need to be training. Studies show 1 to 3 reps to failure, so close to failure, in order to achieve the goal of building muscle. If you're like, think about it, you're someone who wants to be efficient with your time. If you keep going into the gym and you're training hard, then it starts to hurt a bit. Your muscles start to hurt, right? And then you go, okay, maybe you've got 3 more reps in you, or 4 or 5 more reps in you. If you stop as when you've got 5 more reps in you, the fact that you've stopped, you could just, if you push for 5, 10 more seconds longer, that would be the difference between you building muscle and not building muscle. Because if you don't push when it gets difficult and you just stop because it's burning a bit, you're not putting enough stress on your body to cause it to need to adapt. Your body needs a sufficient stimulus. If it hasn't got it, it doesn't just go, oh, I'll just build muscle for you for the sake of it. You need to put it under enough stress and do the right things outside as well. But intensity is key. The next thing is progressive overload, and I'm going to talk you through that in a second. And the final thing is recovery. Your body changes outside the gym. Of course, what you do in the gym is key, but you need to be recovering properly. If you're tearing down your muscle fibers, but you don't give them enough time to rebuild, you're never going to allow your body to recover and adapt. That's when the changes happen. Let me talk you through progressive overload. Let me give you an example to make it easier. So let's say you're choosing the bench press, and this goes with any exercise. First of all, I want you to understand you've got warm-up sets and working sets. Working sets are the actual sets that I want you to be tracking every week and with the goal to progress. Warm-up sets, the goal there is to basically get your nervous system and your body prepared and primed to be as strong as you can going into your movements so you can lift to the best of your capabilities. If the problem is, and the thing you need to avoid, is don't warm up to a point where you add fatigue on your body, because then that causes you to lift less in your working sets, and that's not what we're looking to do. So as an example, you should be working within rep ranges. Rep ranges being, let's say, as the example, 5 to 8 reps. You want to be doing a minimum of 5 reps and no more than 8. I want you to be failing within that rep range. If you do 8 and it's easy, that means that you're choosing a weight that's too light for the rep range, and you need to increase the weight so that naturally the amount of reps that you do goes down, okay? So set one's 5 to 8 reps, and you're doing the bench press. Let's say week 1, you've done 50 kilo for 8 reps. So you've done the top of the rep range, because the rep range is 5 to 8. You've done 8 reps on 50 kilo. And on set 2, which is called your back off set, you do 40 kilo, and you do 40 kilo for 12 reps. You're also at the top of your rep range. On week 2, because you're at the top of the rep range on both sets, you will increase the weight because you've hit the top of the rep range. So you increase the weight, that's the goal. Set 1, you now do 55 kilo instead of 50, and you do 5 reps. So you're back towards the bottom of the rep range, but the weight you lifted has gone up. You then repeat this process. You go back into the gym, because you were only at the bottom of the rep range on week 3, let's say. Instead of going heavier, you stay on the same weight. You stay on that same weight until you can get that weight back up to the top of the rep range, which would be 8 or 12 in a second. When you can then do that, all you do is follow the exact same process, increase the weight, bring you back down, and repeat. Over the course of weeks, you'll make a lot of progress. Now, exercise isn't just about burning calories. I speak to so many people that are so fixated on thinking that they need to go to the gym to burn calories. And oh my God, I can't even explain how important it is. Strength, your flexibility, your mobility, avoiding injuries, making sure you actually move well, like your movement quality, longevity, like being functional, more speed, powerful, agility, so many different reasons. So please don't just think about training and going for movement and just thinking, oh, I'm going to burn calories, because you're missing out then. Now, you're thinking, well, this is great, Jacob, thanks for this information, but give me some help, mate. How many times should I actually train? What should I do? Always depends on your availability. Can you train like 2, 3, 4 times a week? But it also depends on your training gauge. How long have you been training for? Are you new to this, or are you experienced? Because that's going to massively differ. If someone came to me who's already been training 5 days a week, I can have a look and say, right, should we be doing 5 a week? Should we be doing 4? If you've never been to the gym and you're not someone who trains, then you might just do 1, 2, 3 sessions a week, probably 2. But a good benchmark to go for is 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise per week and 2 to 3 strength sessions. Cardio can vary. You can do some high intensity, some low intensity stuff, but you should probably make a minimum of 80% of your cardio at low intensity. So start focusing on doing more low intensity work to build your aerobic capacity, and then you can start doing more high intensity stuff to target other specific adaptations within your cardiovascular system, depending on what it is that because some people come to me want to lose fat, they're not really too bothered about specific adaptations within their cardiovascular system, they just want to be a bit fitter. But we can talk about that depending on if we were to work closely or not. Okay, let me give you something for free. Let's have a quick pause. Have a sip of your water. I'm looking at mine in the windowsill in front of me, and I should have got it ready because I've got an hour and 10. And I haven't had a drink, so not good. Learn from my mistakes. I want to give you a free training program. So if you can train twice per week, I've got a full body split, 2 full body sessions. If you can train 3 times per week, I've got an upper split. And if you can commit to 4 and you're a bit more experienced, I've got a push pull legs upper split that I'll send you. Just DM me the word training program on Instagram. My Instagram again is Jacob Smith Coach. And if you're still watching, I'll give you a lot of value with these. So make sure that you message me. The next thing I want you to do is understand adaptation. So what is adaptation? The adaptation is the process of adapting and something changing in the way in which you want it to. Your body adapts to the stimulus provided. The stimulus you put on your body will be how your body then adapts, okay? So if you're training soft and you're not putting any intensity and you're doing the form wrong, your body won't adapt. But if you're training intense and you're training within hypertrophy rep ranges, high intensity, under control, that's going to allow you to go through the process of hypertrophy. The muscle that you're targeting will then develop, right? Okay, so that's how it works. Now, high intensity interval training, what have I wrote here? Different adaptations you can train. Yeah, okay, got it. So there's loads of different adaptations you can train. So if you were wanting to do some high intensity interval training, different interval work, you can train different adaptations depending on obviously what we said on the previous one. VO2 max, you can train your threshold training, but I would be doing your higher heart rate zones a lot less frequently, or a lot less in terms of the actual percentage across the week of cardiovascular exercise. Most of it will be low intensity, but your body only adapts to the stimulus that's provided. So make sure you understand that moving forward. And if you find this video helpful and want to learn more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel for posting weekly content. And moving forward, I'm only going to be improving the quantity and the quality of the production. Okay, next thing. I think we're getting towards the end. Recovery and stress management 101. I've got a little bit of water. Just pause. Okay, right. Let's go. So, recovery and stress management 101. Sleep, nutrition, and being able to relax. That's what I'm going to talk you through. So, first of all, you've got 2 very important hormones when it comes to keeping you satiated, keeping you full, and also telling you when you're hungry. Ghrelin. The way I want you to remember ghrelin, it doesn't really matter too much if you do or don't, but you know when your belly like makes that grumbling noise, growling noise, that's ghrelin. It's a hormone that's telling your body you need food. And leptin is the opposite. Leptin is what tells your body, and it's what's released as a hormone to tell you that you're full and you no longer need to eat. When you've got inadequate sleep, these hormones are messed up, your cravings can go up and your appetite can go up. So there's so many like reasons that we need to focus our sleep, of course, like even like your energy, outside of just cravings and diet, but your energy as well, your ability to recover, the adaptation that we just spoke about occurs when you're sleeping, not when you're just walking around outside the gym. So make sure you focus on that. I've probably been a bit over the top here, saying that stress keeps you fat, but to a certain degree it does, and let me explain why. When your stress is high, you have a hormone release called cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone from the fight or flight. Now, when this happens and that gets released, it creates an environment for retention of fat, right? Fat storage and muscle loss, because it's a catabolic. It's a catabolic response. So it breaks down the body. It might break down muscle tissue. If it breaks down muscle tissue, what does it do as well? If we said when you increase your muscle mass, that you increase your metabolism, you burn more calories at rest. Guess what? You could then maybe consume the same amount of calories, but because you've decreased your body fat because your cortisol's been high and it's broken down muscle tissue, the amount of calories that you consume at rest now, even if you consume the same, you might actually gain weight, or it would be a little bit higher than what your previous would have been. You'd be in a very slight surplus. You don't want to be losing muscle mass. So make sure that you avoid creating that environment for fat storage and for reducing muscle mass, and you focus on having a lifestyle that allows you to be more like managing your stress properly, and you're focusing on that so that you aren't having really high cortisol, because it's not even just about fat loss, but stress is not good at all for your heart, for your body, for your mental health. So yeah, we need to avoid that. And the importance of rest days and deloads as well. So resting is like I've just said, recovery is so important. Your body adapts outside the gym. That's when you need to rest and allow it to reset. You've torn down these muscle fibers. We need to rest so that they can rebuild. Deload is a time where you pull back on your training. So I have a deload every sort of 6 to 8 weeks, and what that means is I don't actually. Some people use 2 things. The purpose, first of all, is to reduce the chance of injury, allow your body to adapt, allow your body to recover, have a little bit of time outside of training just in general, and reset. You can do it in a few ways. So you might just say, I'm having the week off the gym. I'm not going. That's fine. Some people do that. Some people like that. I don't. I'm one of them people who probably likes the gym a bit too much. So I will go in there, and what I will do is I will just reduce the weight I'm lifting. So I'll lift less. I'll just focus on a bit of form and just getting my body moving, keeping my blood flow going. But there's not much intensity at all. I'll reduce the amount of sets I do, and the intensity is lower, the volume's lower, and if you wanted to do, you just reduce the frequency, so how many times you go to the gym too. But it's important, and you should be implementing these into your training system as well. I think one of the final things that I'm talking about is building a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. So a lifestyle change is what needs to occur in order to start getting the results that you want. It's not about quick fixes, because if you're going to be on this planet for 50, 60 years longer, then you need to be building a lifestyle that's going to allow you to sustain it. Because, mate, there's getting like looking at you now, speaking to you, there's going to be times that ask yourself, are you planning on going on holiday? Are you planning on celebrating Christmas? Do you want to go have some drinks with your mates? Do you want to go and spend some time with your kids and your family and on a holiday? Of course you are. Like, that's going to happen, whether it's now or in the future. If you can learn to handle these situations now and build a lifestyle that fits around you, everyone is different, right? It's like, that's not a lie. Everyone's different. Everyone needs something a little bit different. If you can learn to do that, imagine every single one of your years for the future being easier, being better, like your quality of life improving, because you've invested in yourself to achieve this outcome that you don't just want, but you need for a higher quality of life. That's why my mission is simple: to help more men that probably feel like how I used to feel, to live a life and a quality of life that they are truly capable of achieving and missing out on every single day. Remember when we spoke about the cost of inaction? The inaction is that you could be 10 years down the line and have missed out on 10 years of the highest quality years of your life. So thinking about it like that, but we need to build a routine sustainable for you. The best way to do it is to break it down and say, what can you commit to? What's your minimum effective dose that's going to allow you to get a result but isn't going to take over your life? So can you get a result with 2 or 3 gym sessions a week? Yes. Okay. Can you commit that? Yes. Okay. Amazing. So now you've worked out that you can commit that. That's your minimum effective dose. However life gets busy, I still want you to focus on achieving that, because you know that aligns with achieving the results that you want. You know the importance of shifting your mindset. We spoke about that. Habit stacking is something that I wanted to focus on as well. So stacking habits. If you've got something that you currently do, start thinking, right, week 1 I'm going to focus on something to do with my nutrition, adding more fiber in. Yes, right, I've got that for a week. I've got consistent at that. I've hit my fiber every day. Week 2 I'm going to start focusing on adding another focus. It might be getting more protein in my diet. Right, I'm going to do that every day. Yes, I've stacked that. So now I hit my nutrition, my protein and my fiber by week 2. Week 3 I'm going to focus on getting my steps in. So now by the end of week 3 you've consistently done that. And now after week 3 you've just done week 3. You've managed to hit your steps, hit your protein, and hit your fiber. Stacking habits like that. That's going to be the best way for small, actionable steps moving forward to get your result. And the final thing is, be focused on longevity. It's not an overnight fix. It's not a quick fix. If you want to be in shape for the rest of your life, have all the high quality life that comes with that and all the benefits, then you need to make sure that you are focused on sustainability, longevity, and changing and adapting your current lifestyle. Final thing is, there will be a time where you get stuck. There will be a time where things need to change. You can't just have a training program and a nutrition plan and follow it for the rest of your life. Things will change. Things will need to adapt. I spoke about that. Like, you can plan, that's amazing, but adaptability is key. Now, here's what to do. When your weight loss plateaus, if it does plateau and the scales haven't moved for a few weeks and you're looking at your measurements and they're not changing and you've taken your progress photos and you look the exact same, we need to make some adjustments to your expenditure and your calorie intake. So here's what you can do. You can either increase your expenditure, so your output, so you might have a step goal. The best thing to do with a step goal is, if you say currently walk 5,000 steps per day, just increase it by 2,000. And when you're consistently doing that, try increasing it a bit more. So you need to look at it and go, right, can I increase my step count, or am I like hitting my max right now? Okay, I can't increase that. Okay, could you maybe commit to a bit more in the gym? Could you add some 10, 15 minutes of cardio at the end of your sessions? No, you can't do that. Okay, well, we're going to have to pull a little bit away from your calories each day. Yeah, I can do that. Or maybe you're like, right, my calories are already low. I already struggle with that. I'd rather just do some more steps, or I'd rather just do some more cardio or some more training. Like, you have to understand what would be more valuable and what would you miss more, and I think that's most important, because to be sustainable, it needs to be something that you can look at and go, right, I'm not going to massively miss that. So you either adjust your expenditure or you adjust your calorie intake. You can adjust both, but I always find it easier if you just adjust both rather than one or the other. So maybe slightly reduce your calories and slightly increase your expenditure, or just try one. Depends on how stuck you are. And with your training, it's all about movement patterns. Understanding what specific exercise, what you're targeting, what adaptation you're targeting within each exercise. And then what I want you to do is go, right, okay, if my bench press is stalled, I'm doing a flat horizontal press to bias my chest. If that's stalled, what else can I do that's a similar movement? It targets the same adaptation, but allows a different exercise. It's a new variable to give me more room to progress and start a phase of trying to improve with that. A dumbbell bench press, a flat machine press. Maybe you try like different machines, different. Maybe you try like a press up variation, or maybe you change a slight variable. Just keep it very very slight, but I want you to understand that things will need to change. That's not even up for debate, and it's just understanding how to make that change. And that's typically where a coach comes into play. But I'm trying to give you the value to do that whilst you're alone. Okay. And I'm hoping this is the final thing because I'm just conscious of time. But build an identity around your health, not just dieting. I want you to change your identity to actually care about your health, your fitness, your well-being, rather than just thinking about going on a diet so that you can get a bit leaner. Because when you enjoy the process, you're patient, and you enjoy every single step, the actual journey of building this identity, building these new habits, and as a byproduct of changing your inputs and your habits, you stack on a consistent basis, you get a result. You get the person you want to become. You don't just get a six-pack, you get the personality traits and the improvements that have been needed to be made in order to get that six-pack and get them results. You change as a person. Enjoy the journey because that's when you change and you become better. So enjoy it and don't rush it. Now, I hope you found this helpful, but where can you go from here? So, first of all, please subscribe to the channel, massively appreciate it, and head to my Instagram, Jacob Smith Coach, drop me a follow. If you're listening to the podcast, drop it a follow as well. I post 3 times a week on here, so make sure to drop me a follow there and keep up to date with the episodes. Have a scroll back and implement what I teach, because I do try and provide as much value to the marketplace as I can. So where you can go from here, guys, you can even, if you're still at the end of this video, first of all, massively appreciate you giving me an hour and 20 of your time. I hope you found it valuable. I'm someone who believes that we're all apprentices at life. We're always learning. If there's anything that you feel I could do better during these videos, please let me know. I want to improve my quality of my content. I want to improve my ability to teach, to maybe say you need better images or more analogies, or me to slow down my speech. Let me know. But you can either try alone and implement what I've taught and put that all into place, and obviously if you do it correctly you will get a result, or you can work with me one-to-one. I obviously take the stress off you and I will do this for you. I'm your coach. I'm not going to give you to someone else. I'm going to coach you specifically, me and you, and I will get you to get this result that you want through my coaching program Made for More. If you want to do that, go to the link in the description of this Spotify episode and also this YouTube video and hit the calendar link where you can book a call. And book in one-to-one. We'll have a quick chat, see if I can help you. You might not even be a good fit. Worst case scenario, I'll give you some free things to crack on with, or I'll just point you in the direction to someone or something else. And if you found it helpful, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Instagram is Jacob Smith Coach. Learn more about my Made for More program in the description. Drop the Spotify podcast a rating and a follow. And appreciate you all watching. Appreciate you taking the time and well done as well for investing in developing yourself. And I'll catch you all in